Hello there, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Live Shopping. And I'm so excited to see so many people on already, wherever you guys are tuning in from, whether you are on LinkedIn, maybe your Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, what else, X, you name it. Welcome. And if this is your very first time, I am your host. I am Marcy McKenna. And I have been in this crazy live shopping space for quite a while, actually coming up on 15 years, which I cannot believe. The reason I know that is because I was just back at HSN, which is where my brand is, and they are getting ready. Very sadly, it's a bit of a bittersweet moment for me, but they're getting ready to close their studio for good. And that is in, or just outside of Tampa, Florida. And I believe their last show is going to be on June 25th. Definitely tune in for that. HSN is not going away, so don't be alarmed about that. They are moving to Pennsylvania. They are under the same umbrella as QVC. So QVC and HSN are together on the same campus starting just after June 25th. But they will still very much have their own identities and their own customers and all of that. So forward facing to the public, it'll seem like business as always. In fact, so much so that what they've done is they are literally taking the set pieces from the HSN studios in Florida, and they are putting them on trucks and driving them all the way to Westchester, Pennsylvania, where they will be setting it up so that when the public is watching, they will literally think we're still in Florida. And so I bring all that up because when I was there the last time, I was realizing, somebody brought it up to me actually, that it was almost 15 years ago when I first walked into that studio campus. So crazy, crazy. Anyway, I am loving doing this show because I'm doing it because I want to just inspire, empower, and educate as many e-commerce brands as I possibly can to jump on board with live shopping. As you guys probably already know, live shopping is here to stay. This is not a trend. There were questions about that the past couple years, at least in the US. Nationwide or worldwide, it's been huge for years, especially in Asia. And it was just a matter of when is it going to catch up here in America? And it does appear that 2025 is the year that that is finally happening. And it's doing so well. It's so exciting to see. And so I kind of am jumping on this opportunity while it's getting so much kind of hype all over the media. I get a Google alert with live shopping, and every single day there's some kind of press, media, news article, something about live shopping, and all the big brands are starting and the successes that they're having and all of that. And I thought, I'm going to start this show so that I can really reach out to even the smallest of brands, the solopreneur, inventor who's just getting ready to launch their first product, and get them excited about what live shopping can mean to anybody, really. And I mean, when you look at the growth that it's having year over year, it's growing at 30%. That is just unheard of. It's crazy, crazy. And why is it growing like that? It's growing like that because it's working. And all the statistics are showing that. I'm sure you've seen them. And if you've tuned in here, you've heard me talk about them. Things like average order value being tripled, our conversion rates, tenfold of what they typically are on a static web page. What else? Return rates going down by 50%. I mean, it goes on and on and on. And then I scratch my head and think, if all these brands know this, if we know how successful it is, if you know that if you start doing live shopping, you are going to increase your conversion rate tenfold, why isn't everybody doing it? And so I think about that. And what I really realize is there's a lot of mistakes happening in live shopping also. And so, in fact, I think it was last week, there was a couple of people on saying, I tried it, just didn't go that well for me. And then other people were chiming in and saying, oh my gosh, it far surpassed any expectation I could have had. It was amazing. So you're kind of hearing both camps. And so that caused me to think about, what do I want to talk about on today's show? And that is, what are those mistakes that cause one brand to kind of skyrocket with live shopping and another brand to do kind of a wah-wah and do sort of a one and done and be done with live shopping because it just didn't go well. So I'm going to talk about those in just a minute. One thing I want to mention before I get into that, in case I forget to mention later, is next week I am hosting a live shopping crash course for e-commerce brands, where we are going to do a major deep dive into all of the benefits, everything that is there for the taking in regard to live shopping, because that for me really is one of the biggest mistakes, is that people underestimate the power of live shopping beyond just the numbers. So we're going to talk about all those hidden benefits that can really transform a brand, that can take someone from, virtual, nobody knows what they are, to being a household name. And so unless you know what those are, you can't capitalize on them. So we are going to go deep into those. And I'm also going to share my personal sort of 5-step process that I use for my own live shopping events, but that I also use when I help other people get ready to launch their own live shopping events. And it just makes it really, really simple. It breaks it down, very digestible. What kind of equipment do you need? What does the structure need to be like? What are those sort of pro hosting strategies that can get people to really engage and ultimately add to cart and purchase? So lots of tips and tricks. So I would love for you guys to join me. I'm seeing Jen already put the link to that live shopping crash course in the chat. So you can sign up right there, and it is free. It is being offered 2 days on June 18th and June 19th. So would love to see you guys there. Okay, so without any further ado, let's get into what I personally think are the 5 biggest mistakes happening in live shopping. First and foremost, the one I see most often, and actually last week's episode is a really points to this one, and that is people thinking that when the broadcast ends, when you go off air, the opportunity ends. And so the camera goes off, you look at your analytics, you look at your numbers, and you didn't get that many sales. And so you think, oh, I'm a failure. This was a failure. This isn't going to work. I'm moving on. When in reality, that's really when the opportunity begins. So when the camera goes off, what we know for sure is that about 80% of conversions, 80% of sales that happen from live shopping happen after the event. So it's really what you do with that content after the event that's going to count. Because many times what's happening on the event is it's fun, it's interactive, they're learning things, they're inside the chat doing things, so they're not necessarily buying. But if you use certain tools and you use certain strategies after the event, that's when that sale will happen. And I mentioned a tool last time called ManyChat. I'm going to go into ManyChat a little deeper inside that crash course, because it's actually a tool that I've recently learned about, but it's a game changer for live shopping. It's truly, truly a game changer. So we'll get into that. But the other thing is hiring an editor from Fiverr, $10 an hour editor. And what you do is you're basically taking your show, you're handing it off to that editor, and they're splicing and dicing it into smaller shoppable videos and things like that you can then put all over social media to continue to either drive traffic to the original event or drive traffic to each particular product that you happen to be featuring, which ultimately will turn into sales. And so that's just something that it's not even work for you other than having to hire an editor. And there are so many of them. I say Fiverr, but there's so many websites like that with incredible editors who are just looking for opportunities like this. So we're going to talk about how to find those people also and how to set that up so it sort of becomes this well-oiled machine after your event. So that is mistake number 1. Mistake number 2 is not putting enough emphasis or enough energy, I should say, into the chat and into the importance of that chat. And it's important for lots of reasons. Number 1, what happens in that chat is kind of what makes the event fun. If people are engaging and they're chiming in, interacting with each other or with you or asking questions of you, that just makes people want to come back and makes people want to stay. So that engagement is really, really important. But I think maybe equally, if not more important, is what's happening behind the scenes if you are simulcasting to the different social media platforms, which I highly recommend, especially if you're just starting out. I'd love to see you do it on your own website for various reasons, but also to be simulcasting to Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and all the different channels. But what's happening when they see that engagement happening inside the chat is that's triggering that algorithm. And whatever content you're putting out there inside of this live shopping event, that is going to exponentially build your audience and the viewers during that event and also after that event. I'm always blown away how at the very beginning of an event, there'll be maybe 50, 60, 20 people on. And then by the end, there was thousands of people on. And it wasn't because I invited those thousands. It was because the algorithm starts working. And it's not just random people that are coming to your event. They're actually finding people that are very similar, if not the same, as the people that are already on your event. So that is the beauty of, it's sort of a love-hate relationship, I think, that we have with those algorithms and with those social media platforms and the powers that be behind them, where it's so frustrating to be chasing that algorithm. But live shopping is the one area where it actually works for you and builds an audience for you. And you can look at success stories all over the place and see how many followers people gain inside their live shopping events. It's incredible. And then if you do a good job with, let's say, a giveaway, then those followers turn into people on your email subscriber list. So super, super valuable. So people, they go live and they're selling and forgetting all about the chat. And so they're missing out on that opportunity. So that is mistake number 2. Mistake number 3 is not being consistent. That is a big one. It's just kind of going live when you feel like it, or taking a couple months off because you don't feel like it, or you think you don't have the time. What I always recommend to anybody that I work with is, in the very beginning, think about what you're truly capable of doing in terms of live shopping events. From a time perspective, from a resource perspective, how many times can you go live in a week, in a month, in a quarter? And whatever you decide on in regard to that, just stick with it and choose a time and stick with that time. Choose a day, stick with that day, because it really is incredible how, just even if it's your very first time, even if you have no followers at all, when you go live, if you build it, they will come. And if you follow some very basic guidelines when it comes to live shopping, it really is a formula that is repeatable, that can be taught, that you can learn. And when you follow that formula, then those events become engaging and fun and interactive, and people come back again, which just builds and builds and builds. So you're building this incredible targeted audience for your particular products, and you're actually capturing the data when they're on. You're knowing who they are and what their email is and all of that. So it's just, I can't think of any other medium where you can build a following, a targeted following, and capture a way to get in touch with them after. It's amazing. Okay, and speaking of that, another big mistake is people not doing a giveaway. And I have spoken about this till I am blue in the face. In my opinion, you are missing out big time if you host a live shopping event without a giveaway, for multiple reasons. Number 1, they're fun. Who doesn't want to win something, right? Number 2, it keeps people engaged from the beginning of the event all the way to the end, because they want to find out if they are the winner. So most often they will stay on to the end if you're going to do the giveaway at the end. I usually do 2 giveaways. I'll do one halfway through and then another one at the end. So that's a great thing. It also drives traffic to your event, because if you're promoting that giveaway ahead of time, then of course people want to tune in to find out if they won. So that's, just that in of itself, if you're building an audience for your event before it happens, fantastic. But the biggest thing is that you really are building that targeted email list. And it's targeted because what you're giving away, people are going to opt into things that they're interested in winning. So if you're giving away your product or a similar product or a complementary product, you're building an email list of people who are interested in at least your category or your niche of products. Invaluable. So just cannot stress enough, if you're going to do live shopping, make giveaways part of your events. They're hugely, hugely valuable. Okay, let's see. Okay, my last of the five. I'm doing a good job here of staying on track because I wanted to leave time for a Q&A at the end. So if anybody has questions, please, please, please say, or either put those in the chat now, or we're going to go over those at the end. And I'm already seeing a few questions, so I'm excited to get to those. And the last big mistake that I see people make, and I don't think this is ever emphasized enough, is thinking that the event should be a sale of some kind, thinking that you are selling, that you need to be salesy, that you need to really, and very few people are comfortable doing a hard sell. And so the good news is, I'm so happy to be able to tell you guys that you shouldn't be doing a hard sell. The events that I have seen where it feels like a hard sell, they might work well in terms of, people jumping on and things like that and like what's going on. But when it comes to actually the goal of the event of creating a trusted, authentic connection with your viewers, when you have that real trust that you're building, that's when true customer relationships happen that are long term, and that those customers become repeat because they're getting to know you and they're getting to trust you, and they're having a good time on your event because there's should always be a little bit of an entertainment piece to it. Just when I say that, not dancing and singing necessarily at all, but just having a good time and engaging in the chat and all of that. But also something a little bit informational too. And so if you're thinking of it, I always talk about how I like to think of it like I'm hosting a party and I'm inviting all these people and I want them to have a great time when they're there. I'm not going to invite all these people to my house and do this hard sell on something. I want them to just enjoy the time. And I think a really good example of why I think the hard sell doesn't work, if you're looking at it like it needs to be like an infomercial of sorts, why it doesn't work on TikTok, on TikTok Live, the last statistic I heard is that the conversion rate is about 0.5%. So that's a fairly low conversion on TikTok Live. But when I watch, and I really have tried to stay on and watch extensively lately, partly because QVC and HSN are now live 24/7, and I'm wanting to kind of figure out how that's going and all of that. But I think what's happening is the events that I'm watching are very hard sells. It's just a lot of, it's very chaotic and hit that bell and and it's just like exhausting. And I think, gosh, that makes sense. But when you look at Meta, you're looking Facebook and Instagram, and those conversions are so much higher. And it is more of you kind of feels like a one-to-one relationship. And it's people taking their time and asking questions and responding and all of that. And that works for conversion. And interestingly, I'm seeing some brands now going on to TikTok Live and not doing the hard sell and educating and entertaining and doing the things that we know have worked so well for old school live shopping like QVC and HSN, that engagement, that, real, just whether it's insightful information or valuable information that the consumer would want to know about, that works. And so these brands are coming onto TikTok and they're using that and it's converting. And that's making me so happy to see, because it's what I've always thought. And now as I'm seeing it, those are the shows that are having the higher conversion. So I feel like that's kind of good news for everybody, because who wants to go on and do a hard sell? So the term live selling bothers me. I like live shopping better. To me, that's more fun and festive, where live selling to me feels like you're live and you're selling hard. So that to me is a mistake that I don't think enough people realize, that if you're really wanting to convert in a meaningful way, I would get away from the hard sell. Okay, I'm seeing lots of questions coming up, so I am going to leave that subject of live shopping mistakes, unless anybody has questions specific about that. And I'm going to get into some of the questions that I have inside the chat. And let me go up to the top, and I believe my wonderful moderator, Jen, just sent me something. Anna is asking, how long should a live shopping event be, especially in the beginning? Great question, Anna. And that's a question I get so often. People want to know, can I go live for 15 minutes? Does it have to be 3 hours? What should it be? And one of the things I love about live shopping is there's no rule book. It doesn't have to be anything. It can be what you want it to be, what you're comfortable with. And so much of that can depend on how many products are you featuring? What is the goal of your event? It doesn't have to be sales. In fact, some of the most successful live shopping events I'm seeing aren't sales at all as the goal. It's more of, what was I thinking of? Oh, Petco. They have live shopping events that are hugely successful, and they're just like costume shows with the animals and just kind of fun things like that. And those will go on for hours, and the audiences just love them. There's also, you can do things like frequently asked questions, where you're looking at what are those questions that you get most often from customers that you wish that they could know ahead of time, so your returns would be lower. And so if you hit those head on inside of a live shopping event, that can be really, really helpful, both for the customer and for you. An event like that might go on, I mean, anywhere from a half hour to an hour. So it, again, just kind of depends on what your goal is for the event. But I will tell you, I wouldn't go less than 30 minutes. I would say 30 minutes to me is the bare minimum that you want to go. And when I do a lot of live shopping on, or hosting on Amazon Live, Amazon Live likes the hosts to stay on for a minimum of an hour. And the reason for that is that so many people on platforms like that, they're jumping in and jumping out. It takes them a while to find you. And I find that even on Grommet Live, as the show goes on, the audience builds and builds and builds. And a lot of that has to do with the algorithm that we talked about earlier. But it's also people just figuring out that you're live. And so you need to be on long enough for that discovery to happen. So that's why I say minimum of a half hour. I mentioned TikTok Live. TikTok Live, lots of these shows are doing 3, 4, 5 hour shows. They have, they're called mega shows, mega cells. I'm blanking on the term, but they do 8-hour cells. Lots of brands will do 8-hour cells on TikTok Live. So it depends on the platform. Again, depends what your goals are. So no hard and fast rule for sure. And that's, I think with the TikTok Live one, that's partially because of that low conversion. They need to be on longer to get the sales that they want to get. Okay, let's see. I'll be launching on GoTech is going to be launching on Grommet on June 19th. Fantastic. Oh, I can't wait to see that. Congratulations. Let's see, they did their first Whatnot show yesterday after learning about it on Let's Talk Live Shopping last week. I'm so happy to hear that. How did it go? I will be very curious. If any of you missed last week's show that was about the platform called Whatnot, that is the biggest live streaming platform in the country. I think they did last year 3 billion in sales. They are huge, taking off in such a big way. And what I'm loving about that platform is no matter how big or small you are, you can go on there and have incredible success, no matter what category. They have over 50 and growing categories that are on that platform. And it's very easy to get started. It doesn't take a whole lot, and you can dip your toes in. It's a great, great place to start. So I'm so glad to hear. So I would recommend, if you missed last week's show, no matter how big or small your company is, whether you have a product now or whether you're getting ready to launch a product sometime soon, sometimes, on the horizon, definitely watch that episode so you can learn about Whatnot as one of the many platforms that are out there. And during the live training next week, I'm going to go through several of the different platforms and the different kinds of platforms, because that is another question I get a lot is, where should I go live? And I mentioned at the top of the show, I'd love for you to go live on your own website. And that really is about, for me, several different reasons, but one of the main reasons is about SEO. Because when you go live on your own website, that time on page is happening on your site. And so if you are doing a half hour or an hour long live shopping event, that's a lot of time on page for when people come and watch your show and they stay on even for a few minutes. That's exponentially more time than the average person spends on any one of your pages on your website just browsing. So that's really valuable. But we're going to look at your own website, but also there's Facebook Live and all the different social channels that you can do it on, but there's also these platforms like Whatnot, and there is Amazon Live, which I can't believe how many Amazon sellers do not realize that they have the ability to go live on Amazon whenever they want to, 24/7. It's an incredible opportunity, incredible marketing tool that nobody's taking advantage of. So I really, want to talk about that. There's Market Live, there's Comments Sold. There are so many. So we'll go into some of my favorite ones, and so I'll enlighten you on all of that. We've got Marcia saying, love, love, love Grommet. I would love to do a live with you. Let's chat. Let's chat, Marcia. I would love to do that. I remember you being on a couple different Grommet Lives. So, and Jen just gave you our email address. So reach out to us for sure. Let's see. Do you know if you can go live on Shopify? So great question, Anna. And I think I know who Anna is, and Anna is a Grommet brand. And so I want to tell you that there is a live shopping app that I'm a big fan of, that Grommet is, Grommet and this app are kind of partnering to give something to Grommet brands that will help them go live very, very easily, seamlessly. And it is that app that when you put it on your Shopify storefront, that lets you go live from your website, and then also very seamlessly go live on Facebook and Instagram, maybe YouTube. I'm blanking on whether YouTube is on there too. So, but actually going live on Shopify, it's on the big Shopify site, not that I know of, but on your Shopify storefront, absolutely. Definitely. Great question. And Andrew is on. What's the tool to go live on your own website on Shopify? Well, that's just what I was saying. So I didn't even say what the name was. It's called Live Me Up. Great platform. So definitely go check that out. But Grommet Brands, we are doing a special webinar next week on the 18th. And so you'll be getting information about that. So we'll be talking all about that for Grommet Brands. But much of that we are going to be covering in the webinars that I've been talking about as well. So whether you're going to be at the Grommet webinar or the other one that Jen put inside the chat, you'll get all that information, and I'll walk through that platform and show you how easy it is to use, and just makes it so seamless to go live and have your own little QVC HSN whenever you want. I mean, imagine that. That used to be such a dream for so many e-commerce brands to get on one of those. And now it is accessible for the taking whenever you want for very, very low cost. I mean, live shopping is the most affordable, fastest way to build brand awareness, brand authority ever. I can't think of anything else that can do it more quickly than live shopping. So that is why, therein lies the reason that I'm doing this show, and everything that I'm doing is just, I want e-commerce brands, especially the small, medium-sized ones, want you guys to succeed. I know that it's tough right now in the e-commerce space, and it's really hard to find ways to stand out, set yourself apart from the other brands, get your products found. Live shopping is the ticket to do that, and it is very accessible to the masses. So it's really exciting. Just not enough people know about it. So that's what we're here for. I signed up for the course, but haven't received a confirmation email. Will that come next week? I know Jen is going to be getting in touch with you about that. So she'll reach out to you probably right after the show. So you'll be getting that very, very soon. Let's see, what else? God, I saw several questions go up, but I can't keep up. Launching on Grommet. Let's see, how long should it be? Okay. If I missed your question, what I always try to do after the show is go in and look at all the questions and make sure that everything got answered. So even if you have a lingering question in your mind that you didn't get a chance to put inside the chat, go ahead and do that now, because I will get to those inside the comments on the different platforms afterward. And again, I'm going to have Jen put that webinar link up, because I would love to see as many of you guys as possible at that webinar next week. And again, there's two different choice options. There is June 18th at 1 p.m. and then June 19th at 9 a.m. So either one, they will both have the same content in there. But my commitment to you is that at the end of that webinar, you will have the knowledge, the tools, the know-how to start your own live shopping journey with your products. You'll know exactly what needs to happen, and we'll help you make those decisions about what platform and things like that. But that's the goal. So I hope you guys will sign up for that. The link is right there inside the chat. So thank you, Jen, for that. And I will say we are actually not going to be doing Let's Talk Live Shopping next week, only because we have the webinars. And so I would invite you to go to the webinar instead of this Let's Talk Live Shopping show. But I will be back the following week with another episode of Let's Talk Live Shopping. So thank you to everybody who joined us today and every Wednesday. It's always the same time. It is 1 o'clock on the West Coast and 4 o'clock on the East Coast. So thanks again, everybody, and hope to see you guys next week inside the free live